Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ask Bill Keegan Show. I'm your host, Bill Keegan, Town Manager of Foxborough. Before we get started today, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy, healthy, joyous holiday season. And we have a very informative show planned for you today. I'd like to introduce to you my two guests today, Manny Leite, who is the new Library Director, and also Paige Duncan, who's our new Planning Director. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
I'd like to take a few minutes today just to introduce you to the rest of the community, because I know that, Manny, you've been here for a little over a month now,
Yes.
so you've had a little opportunity to get your feet wet around here.
Sure.
And Paige, not so much. Is still trying to figure out where things are, but she's you've been here just a few weeks. So
2 weeks.
So we're really happy to have both of you here. I'm excited about having you both here. So I'll start off with you first, Manny. So you've been here just about a month. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and
Sure.
and what you've been doing.
Yep, I was born and raised in Tiverton, Rhode Island, and I went to school at the University of Massachusetts for my bachelor's. And originally I was going to be an attorney, and I was going to go to law school. During my time at UMass, I was working at the library. It was part of the tuition program, and I started to have a fondness and love and appreciation for libraries. And I remember the dean of the library, she would take me into her office, and she would speak on how great libraries were. And I'd be like, well, I do want to be an attorney. Well, you know, she would do that constantly, and I, just like I said, had an appreciation for it. So I went to her office one day and I said, you got me. I do want to be a librarian. So I went to the University of Rhode Island and received my master's degree there. And I worked for a little while in the state of Florida as a librarian. And then I moved back in 2004 and worked in Rhode Island. And in 2007, I became director of the East Bridgewater Public Library, and I was there for 8 years. And I'm here now, and I absolutely love it.
Great.
It's a wonderful town, and everyone's been very welcoming with open arms, and you know, I look forward to working here for many years to come.
Well, it's great to have you here. Now, I know you took over for Jerry Cirillo, who was the director for how long?
He was here for 12 years.
12 years,
Yes.
okay. So tell us a little bit about, you've been here about a month. What are your big plans for the Boyd Library over the next year or so?
Sure. Well, I think I'm very fortunate. I came into a position where we have a brand new building. When I was in East Bridgewater, I had created an 80-page building program for an addition to the library, which is still going forward. Now what I need to do is to get the patrons and the citizens into the library. So one thing that I've started on, and one of the things I think is very important, is having programming for adults. We have a great and wonderful children's program over there. Margie Rossetti does a tremendous job, and what I would like to do is to get the young adults as well as the adults into the library. So we already started with a movie. It's called Boyden at the Movies. And every other Friday we're going to be showing feature films. We previously showed A Christmas Story. We're going to be showing The Grinch Stole Christmas. And then January we're going to be showing Jurassic World. So every other Friday. And then on Groundhog Day we're going to show Groundhog Day for 6 hours straight. So
That's great.
And I like the
That's
movie.
great. Good stuff.
And in March we'll have something for St. Patrick's Day as well. So it's
Excellent.
programs like that. We have a resume writing workshop that's been very successful. We're going to continue with that. We're going to have authors, musicians. So
Excellent.
Yep.
Well, it's really great to have you aboard. We're looking forward to your energy and your excitement and adoption of this program. We have a lot in the community has a lot to offer in so many different ways, and having a library director who's involved in the community and understanding the needs of the community is really important. Jerry did a great job of that, but it's now I think we're going to take a new approach here with your being here, and I think it'll be great to see that change evolve over time. What do you think is the biggest challenge you have at the library at this point?
I think it's getting patrons into the library, recognizing the library. Our statistics have gone up year by year, especially with the brand new building constructed.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest challenge is to get them to continuously come into the library and offer them programs, museum passes, up-to-date materials with movies and books and CDs. I think that's the biggest challenge, because unfortunately there is a mindset for a small pocket out there that think everything's online, which is not true.
Right.
I mean, the children's programs that we offer, the museum passes, you can't get that online. You do need to come to the library.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest challenge. I think it's the biggest challenge for public libraries around this country right now. So.
Well, libraries have certainly evolved. We know that they're centers of activity in many ways. They're not just a warehouse for books that sometimes they're perceived as being. Now they're technology centers for the community. They're places where you can actually you can find ways to access information in different ways that you've never been used to seeing before. I can tell you that the community room there gets used all the time.
Yes.
So it's great to see that. I mean, some of it's because of the fact that we have limited space in some of our facilities right now, but certainly it's great to see all the different activities that occur there as well.
Yeah.
So with that, let me turn to Paige. Paige, welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Now, you came here after serving for an extended period of time in Rentham.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your background and just and what you bring to Foxborough.
Sure. Well, I, like Manny, I'm a product of state school, Framingham State College. I started out there to be a teacher and changed my major a few times, ended up a geography major at a time when I don't think there are any geography jobs ever.
No,
so I went on.
I haven't seen too many myself.
Also, like Manny, I hit University of Rhode Island and I got my Master's of Community Planning down in Rhode Island. And since then, I've served in both the public and the private sector. I started out as a town planner for a bunch of years in various towns with Charlton and actually Franklin, Norfolk, and Rentham. Then I went over to the private sector for 6 years and I worked at an engineering firm, which was very helpful to open my eyes to the world of development. Prior to that, I'd really only understood, town planning, but when you go into the engineering side, you're doing all aspects, not just planning, but wetlands and, water issues, so it was very eye-opening. Then when I had my children, I found that municipal planning was a little more friendly to a working mom, so that I went back to the municipal side, and then I was in Rentham for almost 10 years. Did a lot of work there on zoning and trying to get them, they have 2 highway interchanges and yet they identify as rural. So trying to balance the residents' need to stay rural and yet also capitalize on the opportunities they had by location, trying to broaden the tax base like Foxborough has. So here I am to do.
So you have also one of the biggest retail areas in the entire region in Rentham Village, and what was your involvement in that project?
Well, it was there when I got there, but obviously they're a big, shall we say, client of the community. They brought in, I think, over $3 million a year in taxes, and the biggest number I found most interesting was 13 million visitors. Went to that facility per year. So that was incredible influx of people, and worldwide, not just from the area, but actually people would fly in from Europe and overseas to shop. So it was it was a challenge because obviously when you're dealing with a corporation with a broader scale than the small town of Rentham, there would be inherent conflicts, but we managed to work through them and constantly working with them as they try to evolve their product and trying to keep keep Rentham relevant and trying to capitalize on something like a hotel. We don't have sewer in Rentham, so we were unable to get a hotel, but that's one of the town's priorities is to draw in a hotel over there. So a lot of economic development work starting out over there, which kind of lends itself to coming to Foxborough and working on the economic development challenges here.
Well, we're certainly very excited to have you here, and the experience that you bring to this department is certainly extremely valuable to us. You're right that there isn't a lot of economic development opportunity in the region, and particularly in Foxborough. We have such a mix of things that go on here, and we are really at the crossroads of 2 major highways, and 495 and 95, as well as right in the middle of 2 major capital cities, being Boston and Providence, of course. So we're really positioned well to grow our economy in ways which most people have never even thought of. So I think what the real challenge for a planner, at least as I see, and I know that the planning board supports this too, is to really guide that development in a way that's compatible with the way Foxborough wants to be into the future. This is a very nicely developed residential community, but with some really unique retail and commercial opportunities. Not to mention, of course, that we have one of the biggest venues in all of New England right here, being that, of course, of Gillette Stadium. So it's one of the most unique locations in the country, for that matter. So it's really, it presents some really interesting and exciting opportunities for a planner and for a library director at the same time, because and part of the reason why I came here, because I thought of this being such a unique opportunity in so many different ways. So I'm really glad to see both of you here. You're two of the newer department heads that I've had the opportunity to work with since I've come here. So I'm looking forward to working with both of you on that level. So Paige, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges that you think are going to be evolving here in over the next year?
Well, keeping up with the economic development vein, there seems to be a desire by the community to revitalize / redevelop, whatever the correct term is, the downtown. Right. People really, and this happens all over the country and the state, is, everybody remembers the downtown from 20, 30, probably more like 50 years ago, where it was a vibrant hub. It was where commercial development occurred. If you needed something, you ran down to Abishan, or you thought locally. Right. Well, now we were just talking about Amazon, and now with Amazon and then all the strip development, up and down the highways, really our downtowns have changed. And so, and it's something that Foxborough is experiencing, and it's a challenge that many communities have, but this is our Foxborough challenge. Right. So what I see is sort of trying to find a way to reinvigorate the downtown. It's going to take a different formula. There needs to be some sort of density. You need to have people go to downtown, not just think about how much they like it, but you actually need to want to shop there. You need to be willing to go there. So we're going to be trying, I know you'll probably be talking about the auction that just occurred, but that's something that, holds promise that perhaps, a corner of the town would be redeveloped in a way that will be in keeping with the vision of the master plan, which I should also note that the master plan has just been wrapped up. And I know that there's going to be public hearings coming up on that as we get into the new year. So stay tuned for that, because the master plan holds really a blueprint and roadmap to the future for the community. And I know there was a lot of public input. I wasn't here for it, but I've had the benefit of reviewing surveys and reviewing the reports, and they will be at the library if they're not already. I know that was something on our to-do list, to make sure that full copies are at the library, but we really want the people to be able to see the snapshot of the community, and then use that as a guiding document towards downtown. And then the other exciting area is Route 1. How to leverage that area, and how to, there's so much vacant land out there, and is it a bunch of parking lots the town wants, or is there a way to convert that on land into taxable properties that with a little bit higher value,
or a combination of uses that could work in harmony with each other.
Sure, because you're always going to need to park, but any business needs parking, so there's a way to make sure that the parking lots aren't just used 10 or 12 Sundays a year.
It really creates some real interesting challenges, because you've got that. Really, it's and of course sewer and infrastructure challenges that we have to find ways to fix. I think the new Economic Development Committee is sort of really taking this in stride at this point. And I'm really pleased to see the activity that's going on with that committee. That's made up of some really great folks from the community. The community have a lot of interesting ideas. I mean, the fact that we just sold the old fire station and the adjoining property at the old funeral home. Immediately, right away, I was getting responses back from members of the Economic Development Committee. Geez, it's great to see that. So, what's our next step? So they're already engaged in this discussion, which is great to see, because that's what we need. We need that level of input, one of the things I've always learned, I learned in some of my recent experiences is that if we want to really make change happen, it has to come from within. It can't come from the government leading that process. It has to be. We can guide the process, but we can't lead it. It has to come from within, and we have to let people tell us what they really want this community to look like. And so we're getting that input, and I think that the master plan is a great document for that. Very pleased to see that happen, because without that, we don't have a roadmap, and we really need to have that in order to make this happen. So, as the two newest department heads, what do you think? What do you like most about the transition that you've made so far? I'll go you first,
Okay.
Manny. Yeah.
Well, Foxborough resembles, like I said, the town I grew up in was Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And the town is very similar, where you have people that are very compassionate for their town. You know, my parents, I grew up and I was raised to respect, respect your public leaders, respect the library, the town hall,
Yeah.
I had relatives that were in the police department. And I see that we all want to move Foxborough forward. We all want to see improvements. I think we are in, I think the library was one of the first steps, and I think there's going to be a few steps in the foreseeable future that's going to improve the town of Foxborough. So I love seeing that, and with the community together as a whole, sky's the limits.
That's right.
And I see that here.
Yeah, it's starting to come together really nicely, so I
Yeah.
appreciate your thoughts on that. Paige?
What I've been touched by is the energy. Right from first of all, even from the hiring process for my position, the level of engagement and how serious the community took it. It was a grueling process of several months, but that just goes to show how much effort the community was willing to put into it. It wasn't just something to check off the list and move on. You spent a lot of time on it. And then once I was hired, most of the planning board members reached out to me. I mean, there was a lag time between when I left, when I was hired and when I actually came here. And there was a lot of engagement with me as the future planner. They called me, the individual board members called me on my cell phone and wanted to talk and share their experiences. And you could just really feel the love for the community. And that's what I'm noticing here is, I go to a meeting and I expect a couple people there, and there's entire boards and committees there engaged and active. So I think that's something very unique to Foxborough. There's a lot of energy and a lot of follow through and a lot of commitment. And that's exciting because, we can all talk about things, but to take it to the next level as a professional, that's really what is rewarding, and to help have a part in that is what
Well,
we're
I appreciate that comment a lot, and I really have to commend the planning board for really taking the process so seriously, and of course, it came on the heels of a very unfortunate set of circumstances with the passing of Sharon Wasson, who was beloved by the planning board, and many of us in the community, of course, who worked with her, thought that she was just a wonderful gal. So, following on the heels of that, they really wanted to make sure that the next person could pick up from where she left off to the point where, and then sort of bring a new approach even on top of that. So I think there's a lot of hope for you in that regard. So I really, I think that you'll be very helpful to them in that way, and I think helpful to all of us. And I look forward to working with you on that level as well. So it's a great community. It really is. I mean, it's so many different ways. And there's a strategic. I think one of the things that I wanted to focus my attention on when I came here was the strategic part of it, because a lot of times I think we react to things more than we are proactive, and I think that's what we want to try and get to, is a point where we're on the front end of these discussions as opposed to the back end, and that way we can sort of lead that process a little bit more. Instead of just reacting to it. So and we're in that mode now, where you've got the master plan, you've got the library is in full gear, and you're starting to move these programs forward. That's what's important, and we'll get the community really involved in many different ways. So there's a lot of interest. The schools, do a terrific job, and there's a lot of the parents are involved with their kids. I mean, of course, the fact that we have so much to be proud of in this community, that also has a lot to do with it too. So, so let me just turn to another proud moment here, and thank you for bringing this to my attention this morning, because I didn't see TV last night, but I just want to give a shout out to Jeremy Collins, winner of this year's Survivor contest. a Foxborough resident and the husband of Val Collins, who was one of our police officers here in town. And hoping to hear at any moment now whether she's going to be a mom of their first son. So congratulations to them on both fronts. But really, it was something we're very, very proud of. I mean, great to hear that Jeremy won. He won $1 million, which is, I suppose, in today's environment, that's not a lot of money, but it certainly would help. I'm sure it comes going to be coming very handy with college educations and things of that nature. But
it's a hard-fought $1 million.
It's a hard-fought $1 million. There's a lot that went into that, I'm sure. So,
and he won unanimously.
Yes, which is another milestone in many
Yes.
ways. So good for him, and congratulations to that family. Just really great people. Val is just a terrific officer in our department, and we're just so pleased to see that happen for them, and good for Jeremy. Just a couple other points that I want to talk about today. You mentioned the fire station, the funeral home, going up for sale this past week. We were able to announce the auction transpired this past Tuesday. Great to see that happened and that the result was better than we anticipated. We ended up with a total sale of 4 parcels: the fire station, the funeral home, Garrett Spillane lot, and the Cross Street lot. The total of $745,000 was brought into the town for those sales. So we're working through the final steps of that. There's obviously some closing time that still has to transpire, but we're very, very pleased to see it happen. And more importantly, the most part of that is it's the gift that keeps on giving, because now they're back on the tax rolls. So all these properties, fire station, of course, was never on the tax roll, so this is an added revenue source for us in many ways. So we're glad to see that happen as well. And then second of which, I wanted to just mention that the new town hall project is moving along as scheduled. It is going out to bid at the end of this month, and we will be opening bids at the end of January, 1st of February, and hoping that the numbers come in as planned. I think it's really critically important that we move forward on this project now, because as of course interest rates rose for the first time yesterday, 1/4 point. That could really change the dynamic going forward if the Fed holds true in terms of looking at additional increases in interest rates over the next year or two. So if that happens, now is the time for us to make this move, if it's going to happen. So I'm really pleased to see that we're making that progress. And so we do have a schematic view of what the building will look like, the architectural rendering of that, which we hope everybody will enjoy. And but it's really a beautiful project. I'm really, really pleased with the progress that they've made so far in that area. And then finally, last but not least, on December 29th, this is for the community to know that on December 29th we will be doing a year in review for 2015 and talking about the highlights of all the things that happened during the past year. It would be our first time doing that type of announcement at the Selectmen's meeting, and we're actually very excited about that, because there's a lot of great things have happened in this community over the past year, including the 4-time Super Bowl champions, and now Jeremy Collins, who will be added to that list of successes during the past year. But a lot of local governmental achievements as well as also remembering some great people who've contributed to the organization. So looking forward to that, and hopefully that the community will really enjoy that. I know the selectmen are looking forward to that as well. So I want to thank you both for being here today. It's been great to talk with you for just a short period of time, but I'm really looking forward to the next year for both of you, and I'm looking forward to working with you. And I think we got a lot of great things ahead of us.
Great.
Thank you very much.
All right. I want to say thanks to everyone for joining me here for this edition of the Ask Bill Keegan Show. If you do have an idea of something that you want me to cover on this segment of the show, please feel free to email me at wkeegan or bkeegan, it's can be done either way, at Foxborough, spelled the old-fashioned way, foxborough.ma.gov, and I'll be happy to include it in one of my shows. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Thanks.